Well, Tam, here goes nothing. We'll see what I can remember of the old high school. I started in first grade, September 1930, the same time the Prof. Smith started in here. There were 5 of us that were together at that time that ended up graduating together in '43. And they were Claire Woodford, Ellen Sergey, Billy Bush, Benny Long, and myself. The old high school, you probably know, was down where the Big M is now. And we had one teacher for first and second grade. That was Cornelia Houghton. One teacher for third and fourth was Margaret Barrett. One teacher for fifth and sixth was Hannah McMichael. Then I went to the 7th grade was when the new school was built. I started in down there. When I got to 6th grade is when they started busing kids into the district. Prior to that, they were still using the old country schools. In the 6th grade, because of building the new school and all the additional students, they rented space all over town. The basement of the Presbyterian church. I think they used the basement of the Methodist church. They used the old school building in Charleston, just this side of the Great Gully. And 5th and 6th grade was up over Bill Grove's barber shop. I think it was the Odd Fellows building at that time. Oh, yeah, we also, for a gymnasium or whatever, we had Hendricks Hall, which was up on Homer Street, where Sanders lives now. It was a fairly sizable building, and they used to play basketball games there. We used to put our school plays on, and at that time we thought we were quite well off. I believe Aurora, for their gym, it was up in the attic of one of the buildings. And in order to shoot a basket, you had to be careful not to hit some of the timbers in the ceiling. There was a bell tower on the old high school to the south. It had really 3 floors. The first floor was the nurse's office. The second floor was Prof's office. And the third, if you could call it a third floor, was where the bell was. No, on Halloween night, the boys used to get together and they'd go around town and get as many clotheslines as they could. And then one of the brave fellows would climb up the bell tower and tie the rope onto the bell. And they generally had rope enough to get Brickner down to the corner of Green and Salem, and then they'd start ringing the bell. Well, by the time the local constable got down to find out what was going on, the boys were long gone. They also had use of what is presently our local pharmacy, They used that building, the first floor, for industrial arts and I forget the other courses they had there, but they were mostly for the high school. Ward Ellsworth was the teacher. He later had new school. He taught vocational agriculture. I think we got our first school buses. Oh, must have been around 1936 or so. And about the first 3 or 4, let's see, Jerry Davis was one of the drivers. Ernie Jobson, Doc Council, and I think Frank Walters. And then, of course, from that, it expanded greatly to what it is today. These buses were kept, well, Jobson had the garage to keep a bus in. Doc Council had a big barn on his place up on, well, where Alan Shotwell is now. And Jerry Davis had a big barn to keep the bus in. But these buses were pretty well kept inside most of the time, except when in use. Which today, I guess it doesn't make that much difference. When I was in, I think it was in 7th grade, in the spring of the year, I think it was Bob McQueenie and I, we used to go up to the big gully, go take a dip. And we got on the bus with Frank Walters. He used to drop us off at the gully on his way south. He had to go on up into Aurora and back. And we'd take our little swim, and when he come back down through, we'd get a ride back down to the village. Which today, God forbid, you wouldn't dare. The old school had a large porch on the, must have been the east side of it. And off of this porch was the 2 entry doors to get into the school. Well, one Halloween, or one day after Halloween, I went down to go to school. You couldn't even get on the porch. The older boys had loaded that porch with so much junk, and everybody was standing around. Prof showed up. Prof says, "Okay, boys," he says, "you had the fun of bringing it in, now you can have the fun of taking it back." And with that, the boys proceeded to unload the porch so we could have school. The school building itself was located at about the same area that the Big M store is in. There was quite a large front lawn, and the lawn was almost a sunken lawn. It was quite a bit lower than the sidewalk area around it. And there were a great many trees. It was a very shaded area. Our playground was to the north and east of the school, probably about behind Ed Frank's funeral parlor. We had all of 2 swings and 1 slide. And we used to save all our wax paper to grease up the slide. Then in front of the school, they had or off to the south rather, they had what they called a giant stride. And it was a lot of fun for the young kids to get wound up on that, and the older kids give them a ride, they'd be going just about straight out on it and round and round. And then to the west was the baseball diamond, which was used by not only the school, but by any of the village teams or Boy Scout troop, whoever wanted to play ball. As long as, you know, they used discretion, whoever got there first. And if anybody, the home plate was up near Green Street, and if anybody could hit a ball from home plate into the mill pond, they had an automatic home run. And there were a few, but not too many, that were able to do it. And just, let's see, just west of the ball diamond, they had a tennis court. And that pretty well covers the physical education. I believe Dana Fessenden was custodian, the only one they had for the school at that time. They always oiled the wooden floors over Christmas vacation, supposedly to keep the dust down. They never gave it a thought of what a fire hazard it could have been. Let's see, there was no kindergarten at school until after 1938, when we moved into the new school building. Yeah, when we first moved in, I think we had 3 custodians. There was, let's see, Dana Fessenden, he was in charge, Ray Shoemaker, and Bill Murray. It was in 1938 when we started down at the new school building, and what a difference. Everything in one building. The grades were on the first floor, and all the first 6 grades were on the first floor, and 7 to 12 upstairs. And we had a gym big enough for to accommodate the number of students we had at that time. And, our first introduction to physical education.